If you've been scrolling through endless laptop specs, watching one-uplusinet-with-3 videos, and still feel like you're just guessing which machine will actually survive a day in the real world, this review is here to cut through the noise. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last week swapping between a desktop workstation at home, a fine and light Ultrabook for travel, and a couple of older ThinkPads that still run my engineering simulations, so I know what it feels like when a laptop either makes the day easier or adds another layer of frustration. The Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 8 lands in a sweet spot that many professionals chase: a 16-inch display that's big enough for multi-window workflows, a Core Ultra 9 processor promising desktop-class power, and a massive 64 GB of RAM that practically guarantees you won't hit a memory wall on today's data-heavy tasks. On paper, it sounds like the ultimate toy machine, but the real question is whether those headline numbers translate into everyday productivity, especially when you factor in price, portability, and the hidden quirks that only surface after a few weeks of use. First off, who should consider buying this ThinkPad? If you're a mechanical engineer, a video editor, or a data scientist who routinely runs CAD assemblies, 3D renders, or large-scale machine learning models, the combination of the Ultra 9 CPU and 64 GB RAM means you can compile, render, and train without watching the progress bar crawl. The laptop's AI-powered power management actually learns which apps you use most and allocates cores accordingly, so you'll notice a smoother experience when you jump from a spreadsheet to a heavy simulation. The plenty of ports claim isn't just marketing fluff either. You get 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, an HDMI 2.1, a full-size SD card reader, and a traditional Ethernet jack. That means you can hook up an external 4K monitor, connect a fast external SSD for additional storage, and still plug into a corporate network without needing a dongle hub. In a typical office setup, I was able to run a 27-inch 4K display, a USB-C dock, and a wired Ethernet connection all at once without any drop in performance. Now, who should skip it? If you're a student or a casual user whose daily tasks revolve around web browsing, streaming, and occasional document editing, the P1's price point and raw power are overkill. You'll be paying for horsepower you'll rarely tap, and the extra weight, about 4.5 pounds, makes it feel more like a portable workstation than a travel companion. The non-touch 16-inch panel is gorgeous, but it's also larger and heavier than a typical 13-inch Ultrabook, so fitting it into a cramped backpack on a coffee shop commute can be a hassle. Additionally, the ThinkPad's classic black chassis, while professional, doesn't have the sleek, glass-back aesthetic that many creatives prefer for client-facing work. Let's talk about daily usability. I took the P1 to a client site where the Wi-Fi was spotty, the power outlets were limited, and I needed to run a live demo of a 3D model. The built-in Wi-Fi 6E performed admirably, locking onto the weakest signal with less jitter than my older laptop. When I plugged into the Ethernet port, the connection was rock solid, and because the laptop supports both, I could seamlessly switch without dropping the demo. The biometric fingerprint sensor was a pleasant surprise, quick, reliable, and it actually unlocked the machine on the first try each time, saving a few seconds that add up when you're rushing between meetings. Battery life, however, is where the trade-off becomes clear. With the CPU under full load, the 92Wh battery gave me roughly 5 hours of mixed usage before I needed to plug in, which is decent for a workstation but still means you have to plan for power if you're moving between rooms all day. What about the hidden trade-offs? The P1's cooling system does its job, but under sustained heavy workloads the fan ramps up noticeably. In a quiet office environment that can become a distraction, and on a cramped desk it can also affect the feel of the keyboard. Speaking of the keyboard, the classic ThinkPad layout is still there: deep travel, tactile feedback, and the iconic red track point, so typing long code scripts feels comfortable. But the lack of a backlit numeric keypad means you'll need to rely on the standard number row for quick data entry, which might irritate those who habitually use a full keypad. The display, while sharp and color accurate, is a non-touch panel, so if you were hoping for pen input for design sketches, you'll need an external tablet. On the plus side, the matte finish reduces glare on bright office lighting, and the 16-inch size strikes a good balance between screen real estate and portability for most desk setups. Value-wise, the ThinkPad P1 Gen 8 justifies its cost when you consider the total ecosystem it brings. The warranty coverage is solid, and Lenovo's reputation for easy BIOS updates and driver support means you won't be stuck waiting for patches months after release. The AI-powered power management, while subtle, translates into measurable time savings on repetitive tasks, something you can't quantify in a spec sheet but feel in the rhythm.